All right, markets are closed today, but we're keeping an eye on those economic reports that keep coming in. Inflation slowed in January to 2.4%, but prices still seem pretty high for most of us. Many Bay Area families still feeling it. What does this mean for our wallet? Joining us now, Jason Matthews, founder of Matthews Financial and Insurance Solutions in Oakland. Thank you for coming in, Jason.
Thank you for having me.
What are you seeing? Because I think we see a disconnect between some of the reports coming out painting this kind of rosy picture about the economy. We're adding jobs. Oh, prices are coming down. Interest rates are coming down. But yet most Americans are struggling. I mean, just the grocery store trip can be really devastating to your finances.
Right. So what you're seeing is inflation's easing, right? So it doesn't mean prices did not go up. It meant that prices are going up at a slower pace. So yes, it is easing, right? And so it doesn't mean that prices drop. It doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to go to the store and now this price is here and now drop 30, drop the percentage. No, it just means that the prices has slowed down the growth of it when we talk about inflation.
So talk about inflation, because a better understanding of inflation as you look ahead to this year. Are you seeing the trend going down? And then when will that translate to lower prices for us? Right.
So I said the trend slowing down for inflation. It doesn't mean that inflation is not going away. Okay. So we're not going to see a decrease in pricing. What we're going to see is a decrease on how fast the pace of goods and things happening. Now, the response might be, which is going to affect some retirees and savers, is that means that might be a drop in lower interest rates and fixed income rates that you might see, and the Federal Reserve eventually lowering interest rates even further, which might also possibly lower certain debts that you might have, such as your credit cards or your mortgage rates as well.
Yeah, let's talk about credit cards, because when prices are high, a lot of times, we're running up a credit card debt because we have to use that credit card to pay those bills, pay those expenses, things that come up, maybe a surprising expense that might come up. So what are you advising people in terms of managing your budget and trying to avoid running up that credit card? Great
question. So what we're seeing now is, yes, inflation has eased, interest rates have dropped, but we don't see that on the credit card side, where these credit card companies are still charging the super high rates. And a lot of people are feeling very tough, very tight spots. So one thing I always do is start shopping around for other credit cards that do 0% interest rate transfers. So some cards might do 21 months or that. So it might save you time on how much you're servicing to service that debt, as debt can be very expensive with that interest rate payment, especially if you're only paying the minimum. Look at first trying to transfer those over to 0%. If you cannot do that, talk to your local credit union, your local bank. They might allow you to do a personal loan, and where that might be a lower interest rate than that 30% that you have at your credit card, it might be 11, 12. Yes, that's extremely high, right? But it's way better than that 20, 30+% that you're paying on your credit card. I think you just got to start thinking more creative and looking at all the buckets you have of where you could borrow money to pay that down. And then really, I know it's tough for a lot of people, but look at what things you could cut off, right? Is that cutting off going out for clear out budget? Is it cutting out Starbucks? It's really like the hardest part in my job every time for our clients is giving us their budget. It's straight, when you look at those numbers and see what you're really spending, you're going to be like, oh, it's a come to Jesus moment, but it can be very tough. But I think that's what you have to do.
Sometimes you're surprised, like just so you mentioned that coffee, that can really add up if you eat that lunch out, you eat the coffee out, you drink the coffee as opposed to making your own lunch. What about in terms of, are you seeing more people able to borrow? Like, speaking of other ways to get that debt down, are home equity lines opening up a little bit more? Borrowing from the 401k? Where do you sit?
I see you do have more openings with HELOC loans, so have equity line as a credit. You're also seeing more brokerage accounts offer secure back loans. So if you have a certain amount at your Charles Schwab, your Merrill Lynch, your Morgan Stanley, they might allow you to borrow against your brokerage account, and it probably might be an affordable rate as well.
Including retirement accounts?
Not retirement accounts. Just your brokerage account. You can't, right? For your retirement accounts, it might be your 401k plan that allows it. So those markets are still open for you to borrow from if you need to. We try not to borrow from retirement. It's the place of last borrowing that we should do. But if we have to do it, then that's what we have to do. But
point out, because you're taking the money out of the market, you're going to miss those gains, but your interest goes back to you.
Correct.
At that point.
Exactly. So that's a big perk, right? So those interests go back to you. So yes, you're losing the advantage of the market in the long term, but one, you're easing yourself when you're paying yourself back interest. And it's usually a very, very small fee to do it. Sometimes it might be 25, 50 bucks to do it. It's it's a very easy loan to do. The drawback is you got to make sure you have a stable job, because if you get laid off, now you owe that, you have a certain amount of days to pay that back. And if you don't, now you gave yourself a whole, you're paying taxes plus penalty if you're below 59.5.
Okay. Good point to make. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, thank you. Budget. Get that budget written out. That seems like number one, see where we're spending the money. Jason Matthews, thank you so much for joining us. Matthews Financial and Insurance Solutions. Always great advice.
Thank you.